Welcome to Simplify to Scale, a show dedicated to helping you scale a high impact and high profit business that you love without all of the complexity and chaos that can keep you trapped in the day-to-day. I'm your host, Krista Grasso, and with decades of scaling experience, I know what actually works and what's just hype. So if you are done with all of the one-size-fits-all scaling advice and all of the overnight success promises, and instead you want proven practical strategies that will help you simplify operations, elevate your leadership, amplify profits, and scale sustainably, let's dive in and get started. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Simplify to Scale show. Today, you are in for a serious treat. I am so excited. I am joined by one of my very favorite humans who I recently met. I don't know, Beth, how long have we known each other now? Maybe about 6 months?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, such an expert at media and visibility and really growing your business in the ways that all of us need more than any probably other time than right now. And so, Beth, welcome. I'm so happy you're here.
Aww.
Please tell everyone who you are, what you do, and give us a little intro into your journey. And then we're going to dive into visibility.
100%. I'm so excited to be here. I'm a former TV producer, which means I got to be on set with those A-list celebrities that you always see promoting all their movies. I started out my TV career at The Tonight Show. I then worked for MTV. I did the Music and Movie Awards and all their award shows. And what that taught me as I took the journey into digital was really about connecting emotionally and connecting your story to the outcome that you want your clients to have. So often we're really taught in our digital business about getting visibility. Just let people see you. Let's just get exposure. Krista, exposure means effing nothing, right? It means nothing. Eyeballs, it's only good if you're going to sell a product. If you're a personal brand, you have a service like we do, it's not about getting seen. It's about getting known and getting known on an emotional level. So what I do now is I support entrepreneurs 2 different ways. I have a program that teaches you how to give good interview. And I say it like that because most people have a conversation. But as you know, I prepped for this conversation. I knew what I was going to say, how I wanted to say it, how we're going to promote it. On the other side, I work with highly successful digital entrepreneurs to help them get nationally known.
Yeah, that's so brilliant and so needed because you're right. So often, I mean, if you think about it, I hear this all the time. You must hear this constantly. I just need more leads. I just need to be more visible. I just need more people to know about me and I will be fine. And I mean, at least from a systems perspective, most people can't convert those leads if they get them. But they also, I find, are frequently not attracting the ideal people at all. So what are some of the things that you hear? What are some of the things that you see that businesses should really be thinking about when they're thinking in terms of visibility?
It's really about the listener, right? So where's the platform? It always goes back to the ideal client and where they are, and also where they are in their journey. So depending on the conversation I'm going to have, because I know who's listening to your podcast, so I'm going to gear my conversation to them. But most entrepreneurs are just going to have a conversation. We're just going to talk. We're just going to gab. And there's not a real directive on where they're going, meaning where they want their entrepreneur who's listening to go with them, versus really having an idea of what they need to hear, how they need to hear it, and what they need to know about you. Because, Krista, when people are listening to us, hey guys, everyone listening, I'm talking to you, right? Like I talk to the people that are listening. What are you doing? You're walking the dog, you're folding laundry, you're watching TV. You're not sitting and watching, on YouTube every time to see what's going on. So I have to say something enough. Like, hey, put down the socks, pick up your phone, make sure you're following Krista and I on Instagram so you can see all of our genius. It's more about how you're allowing people to understand who you are. And I'm from Jersey. So I give it to you straight. I don't hold back punches, but I'm also going to be honest and open and as vulnerable as I can for you to understand that business is really about relationships. It's not about leads. It's not about exposure. You can get 800 signups for your webinar but those are not going to convert if they don't know who you are. They're not going to show up. They're not going to be your people versus you connecting with the last 20 people who liked on your or follows you on Instagram and connecting with them to find out why they hit that button. There's a big difference.
There is. And you said something before we recorded that I want to just share that I think is so important. Because, right, I've been doing this podcast over 5 years. I've probably had, 100 or 2 guests on. And there is such a difference when someone actually takes the time to do what you did, which is you listen to the show. You understand the audience. You know who I'm speaking to. So many people just come on and do their spiel and do their thing, and they have no idea who I am. They have no idea who the audience is. And I stopped, actually, if you are thinking of pitching me cold for the podcast, I'm probably not going to say yes, not because you're not amazing, but I've learned I only invite people on who I already know and who I have a connection with, because the interview, I don't care how interesting what they say is, or it does not connect at all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the biggest mistakes people make is they don't actually listen to the podcast they're pitching. So when they're on, there's, I know you ask certain things on every podcast, and you're going to be caught off guard if you don't really understand the environment that you create when we're together, right? Everyone who's listening knows how warm you are and knows how smart you are and knows that you like to have fun and you like to laugh, right? But if I'm not ready for that conversation, if I'm not ready to be in that environment, because I've had clients that have done that before they come to me. I've done 52 episodes and nothing's ever happened. And when I go ask them, well, why were you on that platform? Did you listen? Did you do any investigation? Did you ask any questions? The answers are always no. But after they work with me, I give you a system to do that in, to understand if it's the right place for you to be. I have a quiz called Find Your Right Podcast for Your Brand that goes through all the parameters of why this should be the platform you're on or why it shouldn't, because most people aren't really thinking like that. Again, they're going back to more people are going to see me. But then when they spend the time doing an interview and then there's no DMs and there's no increase in followers and there's no increase on email marketing, they think it's a waste of time. And they wash their hands of PR and say, it doesn't work for me. No, if you don't work a system, as you know, systems are everything. Exposure, visibility, it's not going to work for you.
Yeah. You are speaking my language, as you know. But it is true. And so I love kind of giving a little bit of this insight into some of the things that don't work. Are there any other common mistakes or misperceptions or things that you see people make that actually keep them from the results and the growth that they're looking for and why they're doing this in the first place?
Yeah, 2 things. They think the interview is to impress the host or to sound smart. It's not. Again, it's to connect with the audience. And they make it all about them. I try not to say the word I because it's not about me. It is about that person walking their dog or listening while they're picking their kids up from school. It is about what their plight is, what they're thinking about at 3 o'clock in the morning versus I'm going to go on and talk about how smart I am. It always blows my mind. Like, why do you think I care? Krista, that's probably one of the things I say the most when I'm working with my clients is like, why should I care? And they're like, oh, you should not care about this. But the one thing I want to say about that is when you're thinking about sharing who you are and sharing your story, it's really about moments. I connect a lot of what I do back to Hollywood. And when you think about interviews that are being done on morning shows with A-list celebrities, when they tell stories, it's about a moment. And when most entrepreneurs tell the story, it's a timeline. First I did this, then I did this, then I went here, then I made $1 million. I don't care. I want moments in that timeline. I have a former client who's an 8-figure business owner, New York Times bestsellers, but she was telling her stories in timeline. And as soon as we switched, the biggest thing she said was the comments were different. People were telling me their story. And it goes back to those relationships and really understanding who you are so that you can allow other people to be in on who you are, especially as a digital entrepreneur.
So it's fascinating. And I want to really key in on this moments because most people do not say that. That's something very unique in the way that you approach this. And it's why I think you get your clients such fantastic results, honestly. But how, when you've been maybe trained to tell your story in the timeline, and the timeline sounds so smart, and it sounds so like, look at all the incredible things I've accomplished, right? Like, how do you pull out and how do you know what those moments are that are the ones that should be shared or the ones that would really resonate with the ideal client?
It's telling your story. It's like, hey, ex-friend, meaning like friend, not ex-friend. Hey, friend, can you listen to this for a minute? You have to practice. Tell your dog, tell your husband, your wife, your partner, your kids, the next door neighbor, I don't care who it is, but you have to practice that story. And what we have to get people out of is their marketing. Because when they're doing that, it's marketing speak. But when you're in the media, it's all about the feels and connection. So when I say moment, it's drop me in. I have a client right now who unfortunately has MS. And as she tells her story, I got the chills. When she tells her story, she literally says June 5th, 1999, and takes you into the kitchen, sitting at the table, the color of the cabinets, like really gives you, I really do have the chills.
I do too as you're talking. I'm like, woo!
Like she really takes you into that moment. Like one of the stories that I tell, just because it's more fun, it's a little different, not more fun, a little different. I take you into when I used to work for the Tonight Show. It was summer, it was scorching hot out there, and my job was really to help the celebrities coming out of their limos into the green room. But this was a different day. This was something special because the guests were Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks, and Harrison Ford. And I'm a girl of the 80s, right? So I was so excited. But the thing that happened that really surprised me the most was that I got to take Rita Wilson to the bathroom. Down the hall, she's talking to me about what I'm going to do with my life and how I'm going to be a producer and giving me some advice. I wait for her to go to the bathroom. She comes out and she holds my hand the whole way back. And the only thing I can remember about that time is how I was thinking, please wash your hands. Like that's where my brain was. Was like, I hope she washed her hands. But what I really learned from that moment was these were like the top, that was like Forrest Gump, right? That was like the top. What I really learned was they're just people. And everyone goes to the bathroom and not everyone washes their hands.
But hopefully she did.
Yeah, I'm sure she did. I think she did. I don't. That was where I was with my mind. I wasn't worried about meeting her or being with her. It was just a real moment. So when I tell that story, people laugh. It's just a funny thing. But I'm also telling you like what kind of environment I created for myself to learn about TV.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And I remember many, many moments. I used to be on, oh God, what did they call it? The like concert committee when I was in college.
Me too.
Oh my God, so much fun. Oh. And I got to meet so many incredible people. But I think one of the very first things that you learn very early on is they are just people. And I think it's a good learning because otherwise there's like this mystique and this like they must have something or they must do something or they must something different. Yeah. And when you realize they're just people, it just changes your whole perspective on everything.
Yeah. Think about the people who are like big in our business, right? I want to meet this person and I want to meet this person. And like I always say, you don't meet your heroes because they're usually a disappointment. But they're just people and they're just people trying to be successful. And as we're looking at everybody changing their whole business in the last 6 months, right? Mm-hmm. They're just people trying to make it, just like we're trying to make it. But what they're doing and what I've really leaned into for the past probably 3 years are those relationships, are those connections, are those being in person, flying somewhere to be in the room with those people, to really have a deeper connection. And 2 days in a conference room takes you to a whole new level when you meet somebody or when you get to be with somebody who you've only seen from here up for months and years.
Absolutely. And so we've talked a little bit about some of the things that maybe don't work the way that we expect, but let's talk about some of the things that we should be doing. And, I love in-person connections. Absolutely. I think it's one of the most powerful things. And I know personally, it's how I make the best connections where I'm more likely to get a new client or a new referral or make a new business bestie in person than I am anywhere else. But what are some of the other things that you recommend?
I really recommend connecting with people on, like I say, like at an emotional level, but anyone who's listening that wants to be on this podcast, Kristen already told you how you can be. Make friends with her. Connect with her on a different level. Don't just pitch her to be on the podcast. I'd love when I get a DM from somebody who I know is trying to pitch me, but they're really just starting with a compliment on my story. Oh, I really love that dress. It's not about business. People connecting with people, it's what it's really about. So when you want to be on X's podcast, make sure you're following it. Make sure you're subscribing. Make sure you're DMing them. Hey, I loved your episode with Beth Nydick. I really thought that when she said X, Y, and Z, that meant to me X, Y, and Z. Like you're a real person. The worst offense to me, and I actually got one of those this morning on Instagram, like a request on Instagram. And it was like, hi, Beth, I'm A. Click, I'm out. I don't care. Think about why the person you're connecting with should care about what you're saying. And as we all know, as we've gotten older, no one cares about anybody but themselves. We're not thinking about everybody else. We're thinking about how we show up. So if you're going to make a remark or give me feedback on how I'm showing up, I'm much more likely to answer you than for you to tell me how great you are. I think that's the biggest mistake people make, is that they think other people care about what they're doing. No one really does. So when you want to connect with somebody, connecting on that emotional level, let me know you are actually a fan versus you're trying to get something from me.
Oh yeah, I love the podcast pitches. My absolute favorite. When it's 3 paragraphs all about how amazing they are and how smart they are and how they will transform the listening experience for my audience. And then at the end, it's like, and I think they'd be a great fit. Your podcast is great. I'm like, it doesn't even warrant a response. You just go immediately in the junk file.
If I'm Starkey that day, I will sometimes answer those people. Like, how do you think this will actually work? Just because I'm me. But on a larger scale, I think that a huge miss that's happening right now is that people aren't paying attention to what's actually happening outside of our industry. And I don't mean in the news and in social, in the world. I mean in business outside of our business. And when I think about that, it's the entertainment business, because you and I are really in the entertainment business. In a different, we're not actresses, even though sometimes I want to go back and be that again. But looking and seeing what's happening in the industry and how that industry is changing, just like our industry is changing. I know Valerie Bertinelli, because we grew up in the 80s. She had been on the Food Network for 14 years. So a long time. She got fired. And instead of going to find herself a new job, she's created a media company, has her own app, her own website, is doing classes, doing cooking coaching on Zoom. If I was a food blogger like I used to be, and if I used to be teaching cooking classes, I'd be really worried that somebody like her is coming into my space. She comes with millions of followers. No, they're not all going to turn into clients, but she comes with the kind of trust that you can't create. So understanding how you have to change the way that you're showing up to now combat with A-list celebrities who've been around for 50 years. It's not just about competing with your colleagues. We now have to compete with celebrities. So how do we do that? How do we show up differently? How do we have the conversations differently? What kind of social video do we have to create? Should we be on Substack? Should we be on Instagram? Should we be on YouTube? How is social changing? Because as the industry of entertainment changes and how their personal brands are now becoming the foundation for their businesses, we have to pay attention to that and change and ebb with the flow of what business is going to look like for 2027.
I love so much that you're saying this, because this is something that's a big focus for me. Is I think people are very, very laser focused, like they have blinders on, looking very much in the what's happening right now and what does this mean for me right now, from more of a reactionary, very tactical place. And I think people need to zoom out, like forget 30,000 feet, let's go like 3,000 feet, 30,000 feet, really need to be zooming out and thinking about what is changing. Like, it's not just what's changing in your market, in your industry, it's what is changing, because a lot is changing. And so how can someone start to make the right decisions for them when they do want to get more visible and they want it to be the right kind of visibility that actually leads to paying clients and not just eyeballs? Eyeballs.
I think it starts with what your business model is, right? Are you selling $99 products? Are you selling $9,000 products? Are you selling a $90,000 year-long contract? Depending on what you're selling, depends on what kind of platforms you should be on. I often say to people, podcasts are not for you. Go do TV. TV is not for you. Go do stages. Not every platform is for every kind of business. So figure out what yours is. And if you're one of those people who doesn't want to show up on camera, then stop trying to and do it differently. It's got to be natural. It's got to feel into how people consume, but also how you're going to show up. One of the things that I'm doing is I'm doing micro dramas. I've shot a couple of them. So micro dramas are 90-second episodes of your TV show, your movie. I'm using them as, I guess, reels on a different platform. Because I have, we haven't talked about it, but I host my own late night talk show called Digital After Dark. And one of the things that we're doing to promote that, rather than just doing reels or videos or, headshot kind of stuff, we shot these 90-second green room episodes. So it's the guests in the green room talking to each other. And then I come in and I'm like, you guys ready to air? It's so cheesy and hokey, but it's so much fun. So creating content differently so that you are seen differently, because the people that I want to work with in my media advisory consume differently and want to see different things. Because if I'm pitching a client, or I have a client who we're developing her own TV show, if I want to work with more, and I do want to work with more women who want to have their own TV show, I need to have something to show them. Yes, I have case studies, and yes, I produced this show for this client, but also how I'm creating the content for myself so they can see what kind of creativity I have, or kind of innovation I have, and how my finger is on the pulse of the industry. Because a lot of those people want to be famous, right? They want to be on streaming eventually. And it doesn't matter if you want to be big on YouTube or big on streaming. It's all about having that creative concept that works with you in your business. So I'm able to show that through micro dramas, and digital people don't even know what that is yet. And I do think, I'm going to predict here, it is the next wave. Reels and carousels, it's going to be these micro dramas. I think in the next 6 months, they're going to be really mainstream.
Okay. I love this. And right now, mark the calendar, mark the date. It's coming. If Beth says it's going to be true. But the main thing that I'm taking away from what you're saying is it can be fun, guys. It can actually be fun. It doesn't have to be a boring formula. No. You don't have to try to go viral. Please, for the love of God, don't try to go viral.
No, please don't. Most people's businesses would break if you're viral. If there's something bigger than yourself that you want to do, create your company or look at your company, because we've had this conversation. We are all now media companies. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean now you need a podcast and a TV show. It just means how you're producing content and how you're seeing yourself, because we are different kinds of content we're putting out there. I actually started my own production company called Green Room Studios. But Krista, I have to tell you this story. It wasn't really about creating a production company. I was going on a women's retreat and I won a cabana at the pool in Cancun. And I just needed a creative outlet. So I created these hats.
Nice.
On Green Room Studios. I created VIP cards. Like you needed a VIP card to come in. I created these little tents to put on the tables, because I wanted to create an experience for the other women at the event to have fun with me. And I wanted to have fun, because I know it's weird, but that's the way I have fun, is creating stuff, getting hats made and creating collateral. I needed something different for myself. And it really inspired this idea of okay, now let's make that a thing. Green Room Studio is now my Substack. It's my production company. And the story is that I didn't get to use my cabana because it rained. It never rains in Mexico. It rained the entire day. So my creative outlet didn't come to fruition, but I still got to go through the experience of it. And I forgot how much I love designing. And I forgot how much I love, creating things that are outside my business. And now because I did that, I get to use them within my business.
Yeah, I love that so much. And oh my God, please, let's just the two of us go on a whole creative spree because nothing would make me happier. My design and product creation days, I was like, they were getting very excited as you were talking. But that being said, what a beautiful form of creative expression in general. And even if it did rain, which is very rude and not very nice, Mother Nature, just saying. But that being said, how great that you did that and look what's come out of it. But I think the overall to me here is so many people are feeling so much pressure. And I know right now, depending on where you're at in your business, some are doing really well. Some it's a little rough out there trying to figure out how do I get traction? And it can feel very much like you've got to follow this formula and you've got to post this many times and you've got to create this type of content and you have to. What if instead you just allowed yourself to be creative and have fun and do more of that? I bet people would enjoy that and you would stand out so much more. And I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about this, Beth, since this is your expertise. But I feel like so many people try so hard to figure out exactly the right formula. And I'm launching, so how many do I need to post? And what if instead it was just fun?
I love that you said that because I have a friend, her name is Karen Gillian. And I had a podcast interview with her probably 3 years ago. And it was a coaching episode. And we really talked about how launching could be fun. She's like, make it a party. Because it was weighing so heavy on me that I was going to launch again. And I was doing all this live launching. And I remember having this conversation with her and it just being lifted off my chest. All the pressure. And I was like, yeah, let's just have a party. That was my most successful launch that year because I looked at it as a party. And when I look at media or when I think about being in the media, my favorite thing is to be on live TV. I love the adrenaline rush. I love the cameras. And I know that's going to scare a lot of people who are listening. It's actually not that scary. It doesn't feel like millions of people are watching you. It just feels like you're in a studio. But I say that in a form of what scares you just a little bit, that's what you need to lean into. If it feels heavy or it feels like too much, it's not going to work for you. If it feels light and it feels fun, great. I'm not motivated by that, to be completely honest. I need a little friction. I know I'm from Jersey. It's like a thing. But it just is. But that fear really motivates me more. That little bit of I know I can do it. I can allow this to hold me back or I cannot, because my mantra in life is you create your own possibilities for success. No one's coming to save you. No VA, no system, nobody's framework is going to come save you. You have to save yourself by being yourself, opening yourself up and trying things. And when you can do those things, then it is fun. Then business is fun because not only are you making tons of money, but you like what you're doing. And when you wake up and you open your eyes, you can't wait to create something else for the day, create something for your clients for the day, or get to hang out with a good friend.
Yes, to the yes, to the absolutely yes there. And with that, tell people what you do in a little bit more depth and tell us what's going on in your world and where people can find more about you in the incredible way that you help people do exactly that.
Oh, I appreciate that. You can find me on every platform at Beth Nydick. That's NY Dick. Yes, you can all giggle a little bit because everyone does when I say Dick. I don't know why. But if you're listening and you're like, Beth, I really want to show up. I want to be on camera. I want to be out there telling my story. I want to learn how to tell a story the right way. DM me the word Krista on any platform, and I will send you something special that I just send my listeners so that you too can monetize your mic and make millions from your microphone.
I love it so much. All right. So I ask every guest this, and I'm super, super curious what you're going to say.
Okay.
But how do you scale smarter and keep things lean in your business?
Well, I really loved this when I was listening and I heard this question because I am a team of 3. I don't have a big team. I've had that 15 people team. It's all, you're going to love this answer. It's all about systems. It's automations and systems. But I think layering on top of that is relationships and media. Making relationships with the kinds of media, and meaning the media itself, having a relationship with each platform so you can show up and have fun. Otherwise, people like you and I'm going to date us right now. I've been a digital entrepreneur since 2007, right? We've been in this game for a long time. And the one thing that I've had to learn over and over and over again is just to be me, is just to show up like me and yell it from the rooftops, having that one line. And I don't mean a tagline. When I talk about possibility, if you go look at my stuff, you're not going to see that anywhere. That's my own mantra. That's something I share with my people. Sometimes I share it on platforms, but really having that internal mantra, not your why, but your internal mantra of what keeps you going so that you can be happy, be fruitful in everything you do. Sometimes that means money, sometimes it doesn't. But overall, it's having fun. It's going back to expressing yourself, being creative. Green Room Studio has been an idea for a long time, but now it's actually coming to fruition. I think the biggest takeaway I can say is do the thing that scares you, but have somebody at your back who can help you get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really, 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 I'm going to say really a couple more times, really, really, really encourage all of you to go check out Beth's work and check out what she does. She is a true master at her craft. And just the way that you talk about this, the way that you approach it, it just feels so genuinely unique to the person instead of trying to force someone into something they are not. And that is what I appreciate so much about what you do. And yeah, if you want visibility in a way that really does make a difference and connects you with the right people and lets you have some fun and maybe just scares you a little, go and check out Beth's work.
Thanks, babe.
Amazing. Beth, thank you so much for being here. I hope all of you listening got so much out of this. You'll find all of those links down below in the show notes, and we'll see you again next week. If you are a visionary founder ready to get yourself out of the day-to-day operations of your business and scale in a much more simple, sustainable way, I have just the thing. Register to join me for my Scale Simpler workshop at scalesimpler.com. In it, I break down the hidden barriers that keep you trapped in the day-to-day of your business and what to do to finally extract yourself once and for all so things do not keep coming back onto your plate. And if you're someone who partners with founders as their right-hand advisor, consultant, or fractional, I invite you to explore our scaling certification and licensing programs at strategicopsinstitute.com.